Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 4, Episode 4. And who would have ever thought I'd be here today agreeing so much with Marsau and Tisha? I'm like, am I in a Twilight Zone or something? I done spent darn near 4 years or 3 seasons. I'm getting mad at Tisha, talking about I can't stand Tisha, and Marsau getting on my nerves a lot of the times too. And here I am now this season, especially this episode, sitting up here nodding my head in agreement with Marsau and Tisha. I'm like, oh, what has happened to me or what has happened to them? Did they go off and get like a PR coach or somebody? Or shoot, maybe this trip to Africa did it for Marsau. I don't know what happened. They must have got some advice. They must have learned a few tricks, a few lessons, because they are some different people here this season, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm liking all the changes. I really am. I'm starting to like them as a couple. Shoot. Who would have known it? Because this situation here with the Whitlows, I can't stand the Whitlows. They both get on my nerves individually and as a couple. I'm telling you, I don't agree with half the things that come out their mouth. I don't see the things the way they see things. I just am in disagreement with them on pretty much 90% of the stuff that they say. And Tiffany talking about she left her first husband because although he was the love of her life, her soulmate, and that man loved her dearly, she said that he worked so much and he wasn't getting ahead enough. And Melody was like, oh, okay, basically you left him because you wanted to make more money and he didn't have enough money of what you wanted. She just told it what it was. And Tiffany was like, she hates to admit it, but the truth is the truth. So I guess she turned in the man who was the love of her life, the one that loved her so dearly. She turned him in for Lewis. And I'm not for sure what she got because I don't think Lewis got a lot of money. It don't look like he do. Them suits he wear definitely say he ain't got a lot of money. So I don't know what she really got. She turned away love of her life and a man with not a lot of money to another man that I guess she loves him, but he ain't the love of her life. And he got bad suits and had a lot of money. Girl, I don't know how much progress you made. You learned a whole lot, but is it a come up? I don't know. One thing I know is he ain't too bright. Because when he was sitting there with Marsau, let me tell you, Marsau was picking him apart. And I was loving every minute of it. The stuff that this Lewis Whitlow was talking about, that he thinks he has the right to talk about stuff in Marsau and Tisha's married. Marsau got him all the way together. And I was saying the same thing. Just because you know me since 1999 don't mean you have the right to call my marriage a bad marriage. And I think they finally got to the root of the problem that Marsau was talking about. He says, I don't mind you saying things like, hey, I think your wife is losing confidence and this and that. He said, I don't mind those type of statements. And I wouldn't mind that either. If you want to point out and say, hey, you know what? You might want to try this with your wife. Maybe give me some pointers here and there. But for you to come to some conclusion, to sit on national TV and talk about you got a bad marriage and you're going to get a divorce, you done crossed the line then. Marsau said, yeah, I sure was defensive. I was defensive because you were offensive. I love that line. And it's kind of the truth because it's one of the things I see a problem with the Whitlows. They love to start shit. They love to initiate. But the minute that you punch back, then they want to scream foul and talk about how they was hurt, cover their wounds and ask people to support them. That's what I don't like about them. They like to hit first and then come crying to somebody else after somebody turned around and smacked them back in the face. And Tiffany tried to do that with Melody as well with Stormy. She went over there and started telling Melody the story about Stormy, but she met a different Melody this year. You see, when Tiffany did that last year, she actually did it last year. And she did it with Destiny and she did it with Kimmy. And back then, Melody was taken up for Tiffany. And back then, Destiny didn't like it and I didn't understand it either. But you know what? Melody had a lot going on. She was in a different headspace. She wasn't seeing a lot of things for the way they are. But you know what? Melody has got clear eyes right now. And so when Tiffany came over here trying to start this BS again, maybe trying to influence Melody to go to her side again, this time Melody met her with some different words and said, you know what? You opinionated too. Because if Tiffany thought Melody was going to go against Stormy for Tiffany, she wrong. I can already tell you that Melody, she values Stormy's friendship, maybe for her business acumen or whatever kind of business relationship they may have to go together. But if there's a hierarchy of friendships, Tiffany better understand she is behind Stormy. And when Tiffany was on the show last year, that's why Destiny got all jealous of Tiffany, because she felt that Melody was taking Tiffany's side over her. Well, Stormy ain't got nothing to worry about that, because Tiffany better wake up and realize you're not going to get to just go starting fires and Melody's gonna take up for you this season. You on your own, girl. And then Louis gives that fake old apology to Marsau and says, yeah, my apology is the apology. But then after it, and then you do them little after scenes when he's sitting in a little green room by himself, he starts talking about if I did something wrong. Oh, well, there you go right there. That ain't an apology. Anytime somebody starts the word with if, that's a retraction of a policy, and that invalidates the whole apology. So he already invalidated the apology he just gave to Marsau. And he talking about if I said something wrong, I apologize for that, but I don't apologize for my actions. Well, then what the hell are you apologizing for? Your actions was what was the problem. That's what I'm saying. I don't like Louis. I don't like him one bit. Marsau gonna have to keep his foot on their neck. I know, but I know he's ready for it this season. Even Maurice was talking about like, oh, Marsau used to be sweet and kind as a kid. He says, I don't know what happened. His heart became hard. You know what happened to him? He got out here in this world and on this television reality show, and he started to realize he gonna have to defend himself, his wife, and his family against some of the attacks out here. And so he realized he might have to be a different person. He definitely is. But you know what's good? What he said was, I do apologize for the excessive beatdown. That's what Marsau decided to apologize for. But it definitely was a warning shot to Louis to watch how you tread, watch how you stop. Because Marsau definitely got a shotgun sitting next to him, and he ain't afraid to use it if he need to fire on Tiffany and Whitlow. And his wife, Tiffany, she ain't doing no better. She having to sit down with a Stormy. Stormy is not interested in Tiffany. Stormy has already formed her opinion of Tiffany because, Stormy looked like she'd been watching the show. So she coming up here already with some preconceived opinions of Tiffany, and they not good opinions. So even though they just meeting in person, according to Stormy, Tiffany in the hole already. Tiffany trying to get out the hole, but I'm not for sure if she's going to be able to get out of it. Because one thing about the Whitlows, Tiffany and Louis, soon as they start digging themselves out of the hole, for some reason, they fall right back into it. And while we're talking about people moving shady, that cousin of Tisha's, I call shadiness on that too. I'm actually on Tisha's side on that one as well. Especially when you hear that whatever their little bad situation was they had between the two of them happened 5 years ago. And from what it sounds like if I'm going to speculate on the story, which I could be wrong, people. So I am speculating. It suspects that maybe Kiki had a few home problems, and that home problems might have been she was having problems with maybe a husband back then, and maybe the husband and Kiki were invited to Martell and Melody's house for maybe a little couples or party or something, and they were trying to invite Kiki and her husband through Martell and Tisha, and it sounds like what Tisha did was she spilled the beans to Melody and Martell that, hey, they may not be showing up or because they may not be a couple no more. And maybe Kiki felt some kind of way about, Tisha telling her business to Martell and Melody that they have broken up, which I can understand. But Tisha saying at the time, she felt that she should say something so they don't keep inviting them and stuff, especially through Marsau and Tisha. Now, I can understand Kiki not liking that Tisha spilled the beans. And if Tisha apologized 5 years ago, then you know what? She should have issued the apology because you know what? People get to determine their own boundaries. And if Kiki felt like Tisha stepped over her boundaries, then Tisha should have issued the apology. And it sounds like she did. But then to fast forward here and now 5 years later, and Kiki to bring up something 5 years ago and say, well, since you spilled my beans 5 years ago, I'm going to spill your beans here. And let me tell you, there is a difference. Obviously, when Tisha and Marsau spilled those beans to Martell and Melody, they weren't even on TV. So they spilled the beans to two people. Kiki on here spilling the beans to millions of people on a hit reality television show. Kiki, there is quite a difference. And Tisha had the right to be upset about it. I know I would be. But I'm with Tisha. I'm like, okay, well, just tell me the way it is. Do we need to cut ties now? Because I'm not going to be going back and forth. And that's one thing I like about Tisha. Don't keep spinning your wheels trying to be friends with people that don't want to be friends with you. Size them up real quickly and cut your losses and cut your ties and keep it moving. And it sounds like Melody has learned the same thing. Melody saying, I ain't got time to be wasting my time trying to be friends with everybody. We can be cordial, we can be professional, we can be acquaintances, but I'm not going to keep putting people in positions in my life that don't deserve the position. There's several positions. There's acquaintances, there's friends, there's best friends, there's family. Everybody don't deserve every position in your life. And I like that Melody is starting to put people in the right position. And I like that Tisha is starting to put people in the right position. And I like the fact that Kim even went back and told Tisha what happened at the little slumber party. Because some people might have said that Kimmy was being messy, but I don't think so. Because if I'm at a party and Tisha and Kimmy's trying to repair her relationship with Tisha, and they're sitting up here talking about Tisha, I'm gonna go back and tell Tisha as well. I sure am. Because you know I'm not gonna let happen. I'm not going to let Tisha find out another kind of way and find out I was sitting there listening to it. And I'm not going to let nobody tell no story about how I was behaving before I get to tell my own story. That's another problem that happens. People be telling stories for other people and the stories be told all wrong. Just like Tiffany tried to come up on Melody trying to tell the story about the book signing, the way Martell told the story. And we know he tell a story wrong, lies, embellish it. He always tell a story to make somebody else look bad and him look good. And just like Melody had to come and tell Tiffany, the story you heard, the version you heard, that ain't the truth. Let me tell you the truth. Because you can't count on Martell to tell the version of the story correctly. He always gonna have to spin a story. He is on bad PR rep. Even his little PR rep male, the other male, trying to get him on track, but he still can't figure out how to wiggle from it. He got a cookbook, and on the cookbook he's naked. I guess he finally realizes what kind of woman, a husband, what kind of woman, a wife or girlfriend would want a picture of his ass on the cookbook sitting in the kitchen, like some husband or boyfriend going to see naked Martell. And if she did have a picture of a Martell on her cookbook, she's sending the wrong message to her husband or boyfriend. Why would you admire a man who cheated for 5 years with a baby on the side? He might need to take his whole name off that cookbook because his brand is trash. He talking about, she asked him who you want to invite to this wine launch in Atlanta. And he said, well, I want to invite Marsau or Maurice. And the PR person's like, well, I want to make sure it's not going to be no shenanigans. And Martell talking about, yeah, well, that was just humorous. That was for fun. She's like, what's fun about you being at a party, Mary, inviting your mistress to it? That ain't a good look. He don't even know what fun is. How is that fun? That's a horrible brand image. But yet you think it's worth responding to it. It should be part of your brand. Like I said, he's uncoachable. He really is. He's still doing the same old thing. Even when she said who you want at the wine event, he says, oh, maybe some beautiful women. There we go again. Once again, the wrong image you trying to portray. I have other videos out on Put a Ring on It and Ready to Love. So if you haven't caught them, please check them out. Here's some links. There are going to be some links right here. You can click on the picture and watch those other videos.